In a quiet neighborhood just outside Chicago, Illinois, lived a woman who had mastered the art of silence. Her name was Emily Carter. From the outside, Emily's life looked complete, almost perfect. A modest white house with a small garden, a reliable car parked in the driveway, a stable job as an administrative assistant, and a husband who, to the world, appeared responsible and calm. Neighbors waved, co-workers smiled. Family members believed she was doing well, but silence has a sound only the person living inside it can hear. Emily was 32 years old, yet she felt much older. Not because of wrinkles or time, but because of the weight she carried every day. Unspoken thoughts, swallowed emotions, dreams folded neatly and locked away. She had learned early that being quiet kept the peace. Childhood lessons. Emily grew up in a working class family in Ohio. Her father was a strict man who believed emotions were weaknesses, especially in women. Her mother loved her deeply, but had learned to survive by agreeing, nodding, and staying quiet. Good girls don't argue, her mother used to say softly. Good girls don't make noise. Emily listened. At school, she was smart. Teachers noticed her essays, powerful, emotional, filled with insight, but when asked to read aloud or speak in class, Emily's throat would tighten. Words stayed trapped behind her teeth. By the time she reached college, she had already learned the most dangerous lesson a woman can learn. Your voice matters less than comfort. Marriage without words. Emily met Daniel when she was 26. He was charming, organized, confident, everything she felt she wasn't. He spoke easily. He decided quickly. And when Emily stayed silent, he called it easygoing. At first, Daniel's control felt like safety. You don't need to worry about that, he'd say. I'll handle it. Slowly, Emily stopped choosing what to eat, where to go, who to meet, what to dream. When she once mentioned wanting to write, maybe a blog, maybe a book, Daniel laughed, not cruelly, just dismissively. Writing doesn't pay bills, Emily. She smiled and never brought it up again. The night. Everything shifted. On a cold November evening, Emily sat alone in her car outside a grocery store. The radio was on low volume. A woman's voice filled the space, steady, strong, unapologetic. It was a podcast. The woman spoke about surviving emotional abuse, about losing herself, about learning to speak again. Emily's hands began to shake. The woman said something that cut straight through her. Silence is not peace when it costs you yourself. Emily felt tears slide down her face before she realized she was crying. For the first time in years, she didn't wipe them away. A question that wouldn't leave. That night, Emily lay awake staring at the ceiling. Daniel slept beside her, breathing evenly, unaware of the storm growing inside her chest. One question echoed again and again. Who am I when I finally speak? The question scared her more than anything else, because speaking meant change, and change meant risk, and risk meant she could lose everything she had built her life around. But silence was already costing her everything she was. The notebook. A week later, Emily bought a notebook. Nothing fancy. Brown cover, blank pages. She hid it at the bottom of her work bag. The first night she opened it, her hands trembled. What if I don't know how to speak anymore? She whispered to herself. She wrote one sentence. This is my voice, even if it shakes. That night she slept better than she had in years. The first crack in the wall. Emily began writing every night, sometimes memories, sometimes anger, sometimes dreams she thought were childish. Traveling, speaking on stage, helping other women tell their stories. She didn't show anyone, not yet. But something inside her shifted. At work, she spoke once in a meeting, just one sentence. Her voice shook, but no one laughed. No one told her to stop. Instead, her manager nodded. Good point, Emily. The words echoed louder than applause. Fear fights back. Change is never quiet, Daniel noticed. You've been distant, he said one evening. Always writing. What's going on? Emily froze. Old instinct screamed, stay quiet, keep peace. Her heart pounded. I'm just thinking more, she said carefully. Daniel frowned. About what? About leaving? About becoming myself? About finally speaking? She swallowed. About me. The silence between them felt heavier than any argument. A voice awakens. That night, Emily wrote until her hand ached. She wrote about fear, about women taught to shrink, about the cost of silence. She didn't know it yet, but she was no longer just writing for herself. She was writing for millions of women who had been told, directly or quietly, that their voices were too much, too loud, too emotional, too inconvenient. And somewhere, deep inside, a truth began to rise. Her story was not small. Her voice was not weak. And silence was no longer an option.